I welcome you to today's webinar on landslide risk reduction and resilience organized by the National Institute of Disaster Management in collaboration with Geological Survey of India. This is the second webinar of 4 webinar series entitled Geohazard Risk Reduction. 22 years ago on this date, that is 18th August 1998 at 3 am, one of the worst landslides in India, Malpa landslide took place. Massive landslides wiped away the entire village of Malpa in the Pittorgarh district of Uttarakhand in Kali Valley of Higher Kumayu division of the Himalayas. The rockfall started on 16th August, bringing down huge rocks which initially killed around 221, including 6 Hindu pilgrims traveling to Tibet as a part of Manas. According to NDMA report, about 12.6% of India, the mountainous region of the northwestern Himalayas, the sub-Himalayan terrain of the northeast, the western and eastern Ghat are prone to landslides covering 22 states and 2 union territories. Landslides cause property damage, injury and death and adversely affect a variety of resources. Since the adoption of the Sendai Framework in 2015, India has made major achievement in disaster risk management. To enlighten us more in this topic, we have with us distinguished speakers, namely Dr. S. Raju, ADG and National Mission Head for Geological Survey of India, Dr. Saibal Ghosh, Director Geohazard Risk and Management Center, Geological Survey of India, Dr. S.S. Porwal, VSM, former ADG, Border Road Organization, Major General Manoj Kumar Bindal, VSM, Executive Director, NIDM, and Professor Surya Prakash, Head GMR Division of National Institute of Disaster Management. We are all very grateful to all the delegates who, despite their busy schedule, have accepted our invitation to participate in this event. The gathering today collectively represent commitments for a safe and secure world. I hope the webinar will be fruitful and rewarding in terms of outcomes. Without further ado, I would request ED NIDM Major General Manoj Kumar Bindal for his keynote address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Arjit. First of all, I must thank Geological Survey of India, Dr. Ranjit Rath, Director General, who agreed to conduct the series of webinars, online training on such an important issue. Because we are seeing on an everyday basis due to the rains, there are landslides occurring all over the country and causing a lot of damage to property as well as to lives and having long-term damages for the economy of that society. I also thank all the distinguished speakers who are there today, Dr. Shaval Ghosh, Dr. S.S. Porwal, and Professor Surya Prakash. ADGP Rajuji is not available as of now, but I think he will be connecting to us very soon. We are all aware that landslide is a major concern, and this is a area where we can do certain risk reduction and can reduce the impact of these landslides through proper strategies. Unlike many like drought and others which affects everyone, landslide is a localized affair and it can be predicted to some extent. It can be forecasted to some extent as to the what are the likely areas where the landslides can take place, which are the areas to avoid, what is going to be the likely runout of the landslide. So there are strategies which are involved in this whole thing. So the first strategy for this is carrying out accurate risk reduction for landslides, whereas the processes which are in existence need to be uh, analyzed. Historical hazard data of that area needs to be looked into. So a master risk assessment of that geographical area needs to be made. and a database needs to be based. So based on that, we come out with a hazard zonation map and the likely triggers that can be that can cause. So by this, we first of all we have to be aware of what are the risks involved. Unless we are aware of the risk of that area to landslide, we cannot take up the next step, which is risk reduction and resilience, in which we can go in for landslide risk insurance, capacity building down to the village level. Green corridors can be those areas can be designated as green corridors so that no construction or no urbanization takes place, no industry goes there, and public has to be involved. It has to be done with the involvement of the public. The first responders, the disaster warriors that we called, they are the first responders, especially in landslide, because these are on hilly areas where by the time the structured response reaches, already the lives that can be saved have been saved by the local people. And maximum response post disaster and even during disaster is carried out by the local people, by the community. Then, so again, we come back to monitoring. So this brings us to the next issue strategy, that is the monitoring uh, and its communication and its dissemination to the last mile. So this particular system is being put in place, but it requires to be put in place in a much bigger way. And all such areas which we have made identified through the hazard zonation mapping, through the risk assessment process, they need to be monitored. They need to be monitored real time, and then the communication needs to be given to the local people as it required. And the credibility of this monitoring and forecasting has to be maintained, so that people start believing the uh, messages coming across. For example, we have seen in cyclone, the credibility of the IMD has become so accurate that no one in the wildest of the dreams disregards any warning given by them, down to the last second as to when the landfall is going to take place, what is the impact area. And now we see, as in Orissa, people are more than willing to evacuate because the IMD has given that warning. So that is the level of credibility we need to obtain by the in the forecasting and monitoring system. Response and preparedness. So it requires standardized signboards, billboards, pan India, so that people, even the people who are passing through that area, come to know, okay, this is a landslide prone area, so I need to be careful.
Hello,
And
Raja.
I need to be careful. So this way,
जी है मेरा तो
this standardization will help, and emergency management teams uh, need to be there at all local levels, so that uh, they are trained and they are provided with requisite tools, because by the time SDRF, NDRF, or any other force which comes there, a lot of lives can be saved. We have made a India Disaster Resource Network, which is being maintained by National Institute of Disaster Management for the Ministry. Contains all critical items which are required and the inventory pan India at all districts. Anyone can make use of it. It has government resources, private sector resources, and public sector resources, and it is free for all for to see and use it. And people can, if they don't have a resource, they can see that particular website and request, because even the telephone numbers, email IDs, everything is being given, can be used by the people. The incident response system, the command post, local level command post, that also needs to be activated time and again, so that people know whom to approach and everyone knows their own place during the response phase. And lastly, if I bring out the strategy for landslide risk reduction, is the build back better. First is to make the existing structures stronger, to shift the existing structures from the most vulnerable areas where we know if a landslide comes, it is going to destroy everything. And when we are going to build back better, or we are going to relocate the industries oblique the urban housing, it has to be done after carrying out careful risk assessment through the scientists. And modeling needs to be done, which should be simple to understand, simple to implement by the community. So I've given out a few strategies which are required for landslide risk reduction, which are very important. But I'm keen to hear the distinguished speakers who are experts in this field and who have been dealing with this day in, day out throughout their life and learn more from them. And the participants, I'll request the participants to take keen interest and ask very good relevant questions to each speaker. And if anyone has to contribute to uh, uh, put it in the chat box, because we'll take all that into account when we make the report. Thank you so much. Over to you, Harjeet.
Thank you, sir, for your keynote address. You have rightly highlighted that strengthening disaster risk governance is a critical step to manage disaster risk. And crucial challenge in landslide risk reduction is not only to advance in the knowledge on technical matters, but also to promote the teaching of these aspects in a wide sense and to increase the awareness of public institutions, researchers, experts, and concerned authorities with regards to landslide risk. Now I would like to call upon Dr. S. Raju, Additional Director General and National Mission Head for Geological Survey of India, for his opening remarks. Sir, over to you.
Very good morning, all of you. First of all, I thank Dr. Surya Prakash, Director NADM, who has taken a joint initiative with the Geological Survey of India to have a webinar today on landslide risk reduction resilience. Our DGGSI could not grace the occasion due to sudden other commitment. I'm Dr. Raju, ADG in GSI, looking after the research project and landslide, earthquake activity, and public good geoscience activities in Geological Survey of India. As you all aware that GSI being declared as a nodal agency in 29/1/2004, and GSI is doing a lot of activities since 1880, and GSI is the only agency where we did the entire country, the landslide susceptibility mapping. On 1:50,000, we have completed, and except a few areas left out. And now we started mesoscale on 1:10,000, where and the site-specific studies were 1,000 and 2,000 scale. Landslide inventory mapping, we are already done it, and we are taking lot of R&D project with the other institute like IMD, NCDRF, and then NRSA. And now GSI developing early warning system with the British Geological Survey of India. Already we selected 2 districts in India, that is the West Bengal and then Nilagiri, Tamil Nadu. We started issuing early warning bulletin from June for Uttarakhand and then July for Tamil Nadu. What response we got from both the state government, that whatever it is, it's a ground, we are the data which are supplied daily at 2 o'clock. So we got the feedback from the state government that 80% of the data supplied, it is working on the ground level. So we got good response that whatever the data, the pollution every day we are giving to state government, they are appreciating the efforts given by the GSI. GSI remain committed to the society in providing the best quality geoscientific information on geohazards. We have completed, as I said, 1:50,000 map. This entire, the compilation is going on. It will be given to the public before March 2021. And then we have created a CHRM center in CHQ, Kolkata, on landslide and earthquake. GSI has lot of legacy data since 2004, about 600 technical report has been uploaded. SOP prepared for on 1:50,000 scale, macro scale, and 1:10,000 scale SOP under preparation. Currently, more than 100 geoscientists working on landslide throughout the country. There are mostly we are concentrating where the Himalayan part and the Uttarakhand. These are the states where maximum landslide and we see loss of life. GSI completed 3.57 lakh square kilometer out of 4.2 lakh square kilometer. The remaining area is left out around 15% that will be completed 2032. But the NLSM map will be available before March 2021. Now GSI having more than 50,000 landslide inventory in our website, and we are providing the data to all the SDMA and all user agency. GSI is currently focusing on 1:10,000 mesoscale in selected in particularly where the landslides northeastern region and Uttarakhand and Tamil Nadu and more in the western, the Maharashtra. As I said, we are developing the early warning system. We are bound to develop. We definitely the next year probably after the ground validity we will be able to issue the real early warning system to our country. So definitely we should reduce the loss of life of our common people. Recently, you know, in Kerala, we lost nearly 76 people because of landslide in the Idukki district. GSI, you might have seen in the newspaper also. GSI, wherever the area we have demarcated, that area only that is affected by landslide because of mud landslide. So in the lot of newspaper, they appreciated the GSI work. Definitely with the NDM, with your IMD and all other scientific institutions, we would like to work together in a collaborative manner so that we will make very success for the entire country, for the common people. With this, I thank everyone for giving me the opportunity. Dr. Shehbal Ghosh, he will be delivering lecture on the landslide activities taken by GSI. So he will be able to give whichever you need some question in your mind, you can ask him, he will deliver, able to give. Thank you everyone. I thank this. Today the web seminar will be in a great success. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your opening remarks. Sir highlighted the function of GSI towards landslide mapping, mesoscale mapping, in particular Uttarakhand, Northeastern Himalaya and Western Ghat region. Thank you very much, sir, for highlighting us. With that being said, now we move on to our technical session. Our request to all the participants that your active participation is important throughout. Enter your questions and comments in the Q&A box. We will have question and answer session at the end of the webinar after all the presentation for distinguished speaker. Now I would like to call upon Dr. Shehbal Ghosh, Director, GHRM Center, Geological Survey of India. Dr. Shehbal Ghosh joined the Geological Survey of India as a geologist in 1994. During his 26-year-long professional career in GSI, he was associated with a number of geotechnical and landslide investigation in the northeast and the eastern Himalaya of India and Bhutan as a consultant engineering geologist and landslide expert. He has a long experience in working for both the DPR and construction stage geotechnical investigation for major hydro projects in the Himalayas. In the field of landslide, he played a pivotal role in GSI for launching the National Program on Landslide Susceptibility Mapping in 2014 and coordinated the entire effort of GSI through mentoring 100 young working geoscientists of GSI on a national scale, being the head of the Geohazard Research and Management Center, GSI. Now I would call upon Dr. Shehbal Ghosh. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Harjeet, and good morning to all. It is a pleasure for me to giving an opportunity to speak to all of you regarding GSI's contributions being a nodal agency for landslides. Is it audible to you all? Can you see my presentation?
Yes, you're audible and your present.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Now, in my presentation, I will try to cover very briefly on the natural hazards, its global and Indian scenario. And definitely, there are some government or the international and national policies and how GSI's work is linked to that policies, how we are actually contributing for the betterment of those policies I will touch upon. Then I will touch upon that GSI being the premier geoscientific organization, what is its contributions. Then specifically, I will discuss on the roles and responsibilities of GSI as a nodal agency for landslide studies. GSI's legacy is landslide investigation, which my ADG has touched upon. Then current activities and achievements, which would be more valuable and interesting for you, and GSI's vision in the next 10 years. This is also extremely important. Now, if you see that as an India, as a country wise, if we see that the losses to the hydrometeorological disaster is not less, it is nearly 79.5 billion US dollars, which is a huge amount for a country like us. And if you see that if you see the disasters reports of 2019, then you can see that 45% of the total disasters of the people affected by disasters globally are actually from Asia. And also the countries which are developing like us, India, Iran, Philippines, they contribute more than 50% of the people affected. So now it is clear that where India lies, and as far as landslide is concerned, if you see the record of the last 19 years, then 18,000 deaths, more than 18,000 deaths were there reported worldwide. So landslide compared to flood is a bigger hazard, but still landslide is causing a lot damage to all of us. Now, if you see the landslide concentration, this is a website being maintained by University of Sheffield. You can see the position of our country, the Western Ghats, then the entire Himalayas, the conditions. These are all the dots of the fatal landslides. So there is no point in discussing these things that our country is really landslide is a big problem. Now, as everybody is now have discussed these issues, that in our country, what we have calculated that nearly 4.2 lakh square kilometers are landslide prone, which is around 12.6% of the Indian landmass. And out of them, 1.8 lakh square kilometer lies in the northeastern areas and also in eastern Himalayas, and 1.4 lakh square kilometer lies in the northwestern, and around 1 lakh square kilometer lies. So the entire area is landslide prone. But you cannot say that the entire area, the landslide propensity is very high. So that's why DSI launched a big program where DSI has completed or is trying to complete the landslide susceptibility mapping. Now, coming to the next slide, that how the international policy, the three main goals are very important to us, that we have to lower the global mortality, we have to reduce the number of affected people, and we have to reduce the economic loss. So everybody's endeavor, GSI, NIDM, NDMA, all state governments, border roads, everybody's endeavor is just pointed towards these three factors, three goals. Now, if you see that our Honorable Prime Minister of India has jotted down the 10 agenda points, which he has put a goal for all of us. And if you see out of these 10 goals, in 5 goals, GSI has direct contribution. The first one, that infrastructure developmental projects, where it is occurring, so there our mapping, our assessment are being used. Then GSI is actually investing a lot for mapping disaster risk, landslide susceptibility mapping, hazard mapping, and we are continuously infusing technology to enhance our efficiencies. And also we are associating with NIDM and other agencies, state government, for capacity building, awareness program. And also we are trying to bring a greater cohesion, cooperation with all the stakeholders who are playing in the landslide field. Now, as such, what is GSI's contribution? As you know, that it is the the second oldest department in the world, Geological Survey, and it has completed, this is a unique thing that in our country on 50,000 scale, we have completed almost the geological mapping of the entire country. It's a great achievement. And as a landslide susceptibility mapping on 50,000, that is, we consider it as a basic mapping scale. We have completed 85%, 15% are left, which we'll be completing in 2 years. We have pioneered in earthquake, seismotectonic, macroseismic, and geodynamic studies. And to coordinate all these activities, GSI has started a GHRM Center, Geohazard Research and Management Center at Kolkata, under the direct control of ADG and National Head Mission 4, to spearhead all the activities of landslides and earthquakes together in a research mode, in an operational mode, and in a collaborative mode. Now, GSI's journey as a nodal agency started from 29/1/2004. A national core committee was developed, and they given us 3 main referendum or 3 main terms of reference that GSI, being a nodal agency, has to coordinate and undertake multi-scale landslide hazard donation studies, have to monitor landslides and do something for the early warning, studying the causal factors and suggesting precautionary as well as preventive measures. Seeing the main 3 referendum point, the action plans were jotted down, where mainly we stressed on carrying out landslide hazard donations at multi-scales. To evolve we also worked for site-specific landslide studies, awareness generations, and also for the inventory mapping. And also presently we are giving maximum stress for our early warning projects. And we are executing this through around 100+ geoscientists who are stationed not in Calcutta or not in any headquarters. They are stationed in the different state unit offices, so we can immediately approach to the affected sites. We have 14 state unit offices, and from where we can take up the landslides, or we are taking up landslide studies. Now, GSI's legacy, if you say, it started from 1880, when Sir R.D. Oldham studied the slope stability problems in Nainital. And this was studied again by Dr. C.S. Middlemis in 1890. Then one of the very prominent study was 1893, T.H. Holland investigated the Gohana landslide, and following his suggestions, lot of areas downstream to this big landslide dam the disaster was averted. And then there was a big landslide in Darjeeling town, which was also studied by Holland. And since 1945, GSI has been taking in a very structured manner the different requests as per the request of different stakeholders, the state governments mainly, the road maintaining authorities, railway authorities, border roads, doing a lot of site-specific studies. And since 1980, the hazard donation started, but it took a different turn after 2014 that I will just say after a few slides. Now, during this journey, GSI has been doing a lot of collaborations with different national and international major players. We have collaborations with NRSC, we have collaborated with DTRL, we are collaborating now on landslide early warning with the main agencies like Indian Meteorological Department, National Center for Medium Range Weather Forecasting, and also the state governments. Because if you do not coordinate with the state government, it is very difficult to implement the early warning projects. Now, international, we have developed all our knowledge following the best practices available in the world. For the donation technologies, we studied in international projects in GSI and ITC Netherlands, and then there we developed the technologies together with NRSC and ITC. And then we have also tried to understand the applications of microwave data in landslide monitoring. For that, we had a collaboration with Natural Resources Canada, and we monitored 2-3 slides. And then currently we are having a collaboration with a big consortiums through BGS that is called LandSleeve for developing the regional landslide early warning, which my ADG has pointed out. I will tell something later. Now, how we approach our studies? Our approach of studies is twofold. One is pre-disaster studies, where we all classify the susceptibility, hazard, and risk mapping, landslide inventory mapping, then also early warning. Then post-disaster study is extremely important, where we understand the landslide failure mechanism. We try to understand. We try to understand the causative factors. If you do not understand those causative factors, you cannot cannot devise the effective remedial measures. And also we do a lot of landslide monitoring. Now we have taken up some instruments that I will show, that through which also we are doing geodetic mapping at a regular interval and trying to monitor the landslides, and also the post-disaster study. Immediately after relief and rehabilitation is over, we have to go there and we have to study at field itself what is the, because this is very important. Now, what are the recent activities? Now, if you see the recent activities, I started from when the GHRM sale started in 2013. Simultaneously, in one path, we have taken a lot of research projects to develop our knowledge base, and simultaneously, we have also coordinated different operational programs. The most important operational programs we have started after the Uttarakhand disasters. Immediately, our ministry has thought that immediately the entire 4.2 lakh square kilometer has to be mapped. So the National Landslide Susceptibility Mapping, it's a large program started in 2014. And I am happy to announce you that till date, we have completed a large part of that. But what another thing we have done, that up to 2014, whatever work GSI has done, that we have published in 5 compendiums, region-wise compendium. These are excellent documents. Everybody should consult this document to get an idea that what GSI has done in different site-specific investigation, different scale of zonations, and also different type of inventory and post-disaster studies. These are all documented in this 5. This is in a capsulated form. We have presented our data in this compendiums. Now in NLSM program, the methodology is well established, well peer reviewed. We are using different methodology for the areas where landslide inventories are proficient, and also a different methodology for the areas where landslide things are different. And we are using high resolution earth observation data. We are using mathematical and statistical modeling. The entire map, entire product is done in GIS so that we can disseminate it easily, we can update it easily. And this data is now uploaded in Bhukosh. In the Bhukosh is our map portal where we disseminate our data free of any charges to all stakeholders, all users. Till date, we have completed 3.57 lakh square kilometer of data of the area. But our map is ready for use is 2.55 lakh square kilometer. That is 61% of the total target. And this has nearly 52,000 landslide polygons. And out of them, around 25,184 numbers of landslide polygons have been, landslide data has been validated at field by our geologists. And it has a fantastic 30 to 35 very site-specific landslide information which can be used by any stakeholders for their work. Now, if you go to our website, go there, click the NLSM, click the landslide inventory, you will get the landslide data. These are the areas of that 4.2 lakh square kilometer. And we are preparing the seamless map. I can show you some of the maps. These black dots are the landslides, active landslides. The red areas are high susceptible zones, low susceptible zones are yellow, and the moderate susceptible zones are green, light green. And here you can drape your road, your all other infrastructure. You can see that which area is more landslide prone. So this is an excellent spatial forecasting tool. And then if you see the landslide inventory data, this is also you can download. I can share you one data that nearly 1,600 people have downloaded GSI's data so far. Now, each and every point, if you click, then you can get this individual information of the landslides, lot of its width, its dimension, its causal factors, and also you can get some photographs also. Now, another very important work we used to do, we give maximum space nowadays, that is our site-specific investigation. Those are very important investigations where we actually study it, map it, do the stability modeling, then try to understand which type of remedial measures are required. But I can tell you, now I can say that there are 25,000 active landslides, maybe 10,000 landslides are infringed by roads networks. So it is not possible for GSI to map, to work for all the landslides, but all the landslides are important. So I invite the contribution from other agencies, DST, other universities to really work on those landslides. And this is a new machines we have acquired, which is called TLS. This is terrestrial laser scanner. We are actually fast tracking our topographic mapping, and we are using this in a very big manner nowadays. Now, with the technology received from the Natural Resources Canada, we have monitored these landslides. We have used that this technology is also available with us. We are now studying using the freely available the Sentinel data. I can tell you that ISRO is having a collaboration with Jet Propulsion Laboratory, NASA, and they are going to have a big mission which is coming in 2021 or 22, which is called NASA ISRO SAR mission. And this mission is mainly dedicated for natural hazards. So there is a huge scope to avail that scope. GSI has already acquired this technology with the best available technology available in the world. Now this is our dream project, which we are now experimenting in 2 districts. One is in Darjeeling, West Bengal, and another is in Nilgiri, where we are actually assimilating 3 informations: landscape information, which is coming from GSI mainly, then the climatic information is coming from the weather agencies. In our case, the NCMWRF is providing this information. Later in the operational stage, IMD will be providing this information. Then we are combining this together and we are preparing the landslide forecast bulletin. Now it is an experimental stage. Jaya, let me clear in this national forum. This experimentation in other countries we have seen they have to do for more than 10 years. But we have tried to take up a modest 4 or 5 years time. You have to give that 4 or 5 years to us, to GSI, to test it in different locations. We are starting a project in Uttarakhand very soon in collaboration with IMD, NCMWRF, DMMC, and NRSC. And perhaps in the next monsoon, we will be issuing the bulletin for Uttarakhand, some district. We have taken Rudraprayag because the Chardham, one of the important Chardham route is going to that direction. And also there is huge demand from Kerala. And we are also thinking of extending this experimental model to Kerala also very soon. So let us, please, I am asking for some time from you people, because you have to test this model in a very extensive manner, because that is very important for few monsoon years. So what is our planning, perspective plan? Perspective plan is that we will complete the NLSM by 2022, but please remember, NLSM is a static product. It needs to be updated at regular intervals, and that provision we have kept. That's why the entire database is developed in a GIS. We will be updating it. We'll be updating the national landscape inventory also. We will be taking up, we have already started this year. 22 programs are there. We have already taken up, we identified around 200 prioritized sectors for mesoscale donations. We are discussing with the state government, and state governments are, I am requesting the state governments to contact GSI and give us the ideas that which sector they want. So we will be doing the 10,000 scale landslide hazard mapping. These are our now prioritized work. Then we will also do around 100 site-specific landslide investigations for helping to border roads, to NHI and other agencies. And we have also seen that apart from the susceptibility and all this information, you have to understand the vulnerability at the village level, up to the village level. There is around 200 districts, because now a lot of districts are bifurcated. So there are 200 districts which are, we have seen the landslide prone, and out of them, lot of villages are there, so every village we need to study and we have to rank them. So that work is also going on in this project. And early warning we have started. We are developing a center at GSI headquarters, Kolkata, and this center will take up the experimental work and also the operational work. And we hope that by 2025, our experimentations at different real-time prototype models will be over, and we will be starting the regional operation or the operationalization of the regional LEWS in India. And also, fast tracking the landslide awareness, I must thank big work NIDM is doing. We are always ready to participate with them. So please call us whenever you want us. And taking up research projects on earthquake-induced landslide and use of SAR for landslide monitoring, which I have told that NISAR is coming. And earthquake-induced landslides, area, which is also very important, but not much work has been done in India. So we will be taking up that as a research mode. But most important is we are not forgetting the people, because this is the last minute connections, and ED sub has rightly told that they are the first responder. So all our project has a people-centric outlook. We are continuously working with the people, trying to tell them. And apart from that, for capacity building, we have another. We have developed or we have kept a separate and exclusive page in our website for landslide hazard studies. You go there, you have 15 different items, and those items are very important informations are there. Do study those items. It has contact persons. These are very important. We have regional offices, we have state unit offices, we have developed the contact persons. We have also have a excellent do's and don'ts. We have a FAQs, a normal persons can ask. He can report a landslide also. And also we have kept all our SOPs here also, which the state government and other stakeholders can use and can follow. Thank you, and please stay safe.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful presentation. From the landslide management framework, it is clear that GSI acts the most fundamental and pivotal role in the overall landslide risk management framework, such as pre-disaster landslide management, post-disaster landslide management, landslide hazard information management, in addition to coordination and cooperation with other important stakeholders. For our second presentation, we have with us Dr. S.S. Podwal, PSF, former ADG, Border Road Organization, Government of India. He has served Border Road Organization, Government of India, over 3 decades. He made some remarkable achievements during his gain of 2 Versus Seva Medal in 2001, Chief of Army Staff Commendation Card in 1992 and 2000. He has also served as a highway expert to Royal Government of Bhutan in IT program during 1986-89. He was also actively involved in designing of Sonapur cut and cover structure in an innovative approach that was applied first time in Indian Himalaya road. 20 years perpetual problem of Sonapur landslide in Meghalaya. With these words, I would like to pass on the stage to Dr. S.S. Podwal, PSM. Over to you, sir.
And I am grateful to the NIDM for giving me an excellent opportunity to sharing my experience with all of you. So next 15 to 20 minutes, I will be covering the various practical aspects of the hill roads. So, is this how it will go? This way. Actually, it is well known to all of us about the definition, present definition, which is latest about the resilience. So it is the ability of a system and its component are to anticipate, absorb, accommodate, or recover from the effects of hazardous event in the timely and efficient manner. So same we can apply to landslides also. Now, in order to basically understand what process we should follow, so I've just made a few points. So we must understand first the basic things, like understanding of the issue and what are the most likely or most possible solutions which are implementable on the ground. To discuss about the current practices in the landslides, risk assessment, mitigation, monitoring technology, and landslide risk resilience with the case studies. We must share whatever our success story among ourselves so we can further take it forward. To highlight the environmental and emerging issues in the context of urbanization development. So these are the basically issues which are affecting all of us. To share the experience related to the community-based landslide risk reductions, and to disseminate the information related to national and local strategy for the landslide reduction and resilience. Now, it is well known, all of us, landslides cause a lot of damages to buildings, road, railway, bridges, dams, communication system. And there are various causes which I will cover in next slide. And with the global warming and extreme climatic conditions, a lot of cloud bursts, abnormal rainfall pattern, low land use pattern, earthquake, infrastructure creations in that area, that causes landslides, and the effects are we lose life, loss of properties, damage to roads, damage to hill, human suffering. So basically, in my more than 30-year experience in the hill road, initial 80 to 90 not much of there, but later part of the 2010 to 20, this extreme climate events have increased, and most of our slopes are getting because of that. Now, just to give an example, our 2013 Kedarnath flash floods was one of the two glove events. There were two legs on the upstream of the thing. One got busted in the evening, next got busted in the morning, and they caused the devastation. So we can anticipate. We must try to anticipate in case this glove activity is likely to take place, what all precautions to be taken. So these we have taken during the satellite imagery of these two things. And one of the study which now studied the satellite imagery before the 2000 June floods and afterwards. So there a lot of water flow came because of this glove link. So you can see these are the photographs where most of the damages took place. Just to sensitize you, what was before the flash flood and how the things got turned into damages. So the extent of damage can be seen from this photograph. So what was before the flash floods and what happened after flash floods, the ferocity and the extent of damage can happen because of the glove events where the glacial lake outflow then can damage the complete river valley. These are another two photographs. You can see the picture before and after, And the formation of lakes also due to blocking of the river by landslides are now very common phenomena. And sudden release of large amount of water stored in the dam lake can devastate the entire valley, destroying settlements, road, lifeline, lands, and private premises. So we'll just discuss about it. Just to share my experience when I was posted as a task force commander in 2000 from Tibet in Kinnaur Valley, we experienced a flash flood in August 2000. And you can see the photograph where the water level rose by 40 to 50 feet for just half an hour. And you can see the complete road got devastated, and as a task force commander, I had to walk 15 to 20 kilometer daily basis to restore the damages for almost 6 months. You can see the source. This source basically, I think this because of landslide, this mouth got blocked, and once this water released, the complete water came down, and it damaged about 4 major bridges, 13 kilometer formation was out in the Nishantipet road, and 88 number of big landslides. You can see the extent of damage, and since our road was almost going along the Satluj river, so the damages were very high. And the lesson learned that we should try to keep our road at least 30 to 40 meter above the HFL of the most of the rivers. You can see since road was almost along the river, so most of the portion got washed away, and it was very difficult to restore these landslides and formation bridges. You can see this, and there was no cement, so we had to construct dry stone masonry for the abutment of our temporary valley bridges. And at one place, we did not have even a required deck space for the launching of a 200 feet DDR valley bridge, so we had to go for a native way improvisations to launch the bridges. You can see we had just put the 2 towers and we pulled the nose of the valley bridge. And another case in the Sikkim where 25th August, a large landslide occurred, and it almost such a big intensity, it blocked the complete river and a lake was created. You can see this lake was created, and this is a water flow from the downstream of the lake, and this is the basically you can see in the background the complete this landslide came and blocked the complete area, and the upstream became like a big lake. And these are very dangerous ones because once it bursts, it can cause havoc, so we have to be very careful, and controlled release of water is the basic thing which one should follow, otherwise it can turn into a disaster. Now take away point from such incident, all roads close to hilly river banks are vulnerable, including the habitat that settle along the bank. We have seen in the Hindustan-Tibet road, we have seen in the Uttarakhand. So whenever we go for a new road, we should plan it slightly 50 to 60 meter height from the HFL of the river. And in the area where we have already roads, alternative routes of all road constructed along the bank river needs to be explored, and all built up area along the road needs to be identified which are likely to get devastated during such incidents. Now, the land use pattern is one of the basic reason for most of our problems now, because a lot of development is taking place in hilly areas, and because of the, we can say, road construction, buildings and various infrastructures, so the slope slip is affected, and that's why we have to be more careful now. Now, one of the incident in 2012, our one of the camp in the border roads, it was the runout zone of landslide because of the flash floods in September 2012. The landslide has taken complete camp and we lost about 14-15 people and the complete camp got devastated. So similarly, we are now hearing incident in Kerala, other places. So we have to identify all the habitats in the runout zone so we can prevent the loss of life. And now a lot of inputs are available from GSI, the susceptibility and the forecast is also available nowadays. And similarly, actually, the Sikkim experienced the 2011 earthquake, and then in 2012, I got posted in the project Sikkim.
Now I would like to invite Professor Surya Prakash to share his view and experience. Professor Surya Prakash is the head of Geometeorological Risk Management Division and is in charge of 3 specialized centers. He was associated with various prestigious institutions such as CRI, IIT Roorkee, JNU, Wadia Institute of Himalayan Geology, FRI, VIT. He has also published several national and international research publications, books, articles in some of the high impact factor journals. Now I would request Professor Surya Prakash for his presentation. Sir, over to you.
This day we have chosen very thoughtfully. The 18th August, actually 2 major events had taken place in the recent times. One that was Malpa landslide, where the heavy rain started on the late evening of 17th of August 1998 and continued till the early morning of 18th August. At around 3 a.m. on 18th August, the Malpa landslide en route to Kailash Mansarovar took place, and about 218 persons got killed, which included the famous dancer Pratima Bedi, Kabir Bedi, and it raised hue and cry even up to parliament level in the country. And this was the first time when landslides were considered at the national level, that why such local phenomena can engulf VIP personalities like her. And maybe there were many others who were important in that team who came back from the Mansarovar. I was staying over celebrating their late evening, and then at night when they slept, the whole of Malpa village got washed away along with those people in the tents. It was such a huge disaster that the Ministry of Science and Technology actually constituted 3 task forces to deal with landslides from the national level. Another major event which took place on this, which is, I would say, would be very important for us as a human being, because that particular landslide event engulfed 80 children between the age of 10 years while they were studying on 18th August 2010. I'll try to take you through those events with more emphasis, particularly on our children who we consider are our future, are also its future is taken away by such land. So just go through this, that what are we doing in the hills as far as landslides and developments are concerned, both vertically, horizontally, going for intense developments without leaving any space, natural phenomena to occur, right? Or without putting any remedial mitigation measures for them to prevent, to avoid. And also, in case it is not unavoidable, then to give space for timely, adequate response. And these were the reasons I will tell you that why did these casualties happen? Was it just the landslide responsible? Is it human error or ignorance or mistake that led to that casualty on this particular day about 10 years ago. This is the digital anniversary, a memorial day for those ignorant 18 school children between the age of 4 and 10 years. I'm showing another one. That first one was from Shimla, northwest, and this is from northeast, Gangtok, Himalaya, high-rise building in the hills. Another northeastern state from Dimapur. Now you see, Mizoram. We are putting elevated structures without adequate foundations within the hills. Now, if anything mishappens, they are multi-story buildings. You can see this is how the buildings are being constructed, and you are putting load structure, and then they doesn't have any way but to fail. So such you can see almost all structures are in an elevated mode of construction without any adequate reinforcements with the slope. So no integration is there. Then their high-rise buildings, they are also putting their water into these slopes and causing instabilities. You can see even buildings under construction, they were failing. This is one from the Gangtok area. This kind of situation happen in different places in northeastern states like Sikkim. You can see that whole of these slopes and the foundation base gets eroded away because of landsliding, and the building actually stands in air without any support systems. Showing you some of those examples, and not only from the Himalayan parts. I had a chance to go to Visakhapatnam for a program on coastal DRR, and I was going toward a place, and on the way I found a hillock, and the hillock was completely studded with the buildings where so many people were living, and below that was a ground and a educational building, a lot of students and youth playing underneath. You can imagine if these hills give way, what kind of situation will happen. And this is likely to happen because this is very ill planned. And then after the establishment of NDMA, the first things that were taking place, the thought process was the landslides and the earthquakes. The landslide guidelines were first draft was prepared in 2006, way back. And 2009, we were able to release the guidelines landslides, management of landslides. We have also on the same year the National Policy on Disaster Management and currently National Disaster Management Plan, which actually provides this responsibility to Geological Survey of India as a nodal agency for landslides. And these are not only occurring in isolation because of heavy precipitation or human intervention, but also due to earthquakes. Dr. Korwal talked to you about the Sikkim earthquake, which took place on 18th September 2011. And these earthquakes do lead to numerous landslides simultaneously, either in a new activated landslides or landslide or reactivated existing landslides. I remember way back in Uttarkashi, I was working for the safety of a IDBP camp from the landslides. On 20th October 1991, an earthquake took place. And so many landslides happened together. And those landslides, despite all our best infrastructure, led to problems. And I'm sharing you that this is happening not only in the south or in the northeast or the northwest, but many other parts of the country. And I got a Zoom composite of pictures from different parts of the country. It's Goa, Karnataka, Kerala, or whether it is Ladakh, Leh, or Himachal. So I'm just going to cite you that when we started with in India, way back in 18, in fact, 1867, land took place the Nainital area when Britishers were governing the country, and in 1880, the same place these landslides took place in Nainital, and engulfed about 151 persons, including 43 Britishers. So they started monitoring landslides at the Sherkadanda Hills, and that was 18th September 1880. And this is the historical picture of that landslide. Whatever you see as a plain towards the lakeside, the playground, is actually the debris material which was brought by this landslide. Another infamous landslide, I'll just cite to some of the cases. Why it is very, very important to study, to understand, to manage landslide is that they are so widespread, frequent, sudden. And nowadays, cumulative effects are even much more than the major disasters like earthquakes and floods. If you look over the period of time and the number of instances, for example, 50,000 cases they are recording, they have reported, but there are many more such unreported which are still to be studied. So therefore, we are having too many of landslides to be taken care of. I'm showing one of these Kalyasur landslides in Garhwal, Himalaya on the Alaknanda River. And this landslide, you remember 2013 June floods took place. I had to cross this landslide. I took that picture just before this landslide happened on the same day in the evening. So imagine to drive and then the landslide takes place, what will be the situations? And we depend on bulldozers and laborers to remove debris and to clear the road so that the traffic can continue. And you can see in this picture, we have this picture photograph taken along with the bulldozer that has gone into the river, along with 4 laborers on the landslides towards Gangotri, and placed in about in the August month only in 1994. So these are the kind of instances that we are reporting. Another very important nowadays is our strategic concern. We have borders with China, with Nepal, with Pakistan, and our army has to access our border areas, and these landslides become blockades. If the territorial controls are to be taken, ground access is very, very important. And army, if they have to go in such a terrain, if we don't clear the landslides or manage the landslide, they will be a hurdle. So we have to think about this along all our border roads. That's why we thought of having Dr. Porwal with us on this occasion. And often our civil society, when landslides happen, crosses the hills through foot. And let me show you one of the instances which happened in front of us. When we were witnessing a landslide and road clear, and suddenly a boulder fell on this bus, where 13 people were inside. And you can imagine what would have been position if they were still inside, because a lady saw the boulder rolling down, she cried, and the people came out immediately, and the boulder fell on this bus. You can see the conditions. So these are kind of situations, and this was the situation at the site, very close to the landslide. That was Sukhidang on way to Rani Glacier and Gangotri. And sections, we are not yet trained our forces. Not even our NDRF is so well trained in landslide rescue. Landslide is really very tough task because no equipment or instrumental works have been taken up so far for such rescue operations. We are depending on our traditional search and rescue based canine search. So this is one of the areas in Goa where the landslide took place and they were buried. And people were trying to search the buried persons at the same spot where they were present before the landslide happened. But in fact, they were taken away along with the landslide debris, and they were moving the bulldozer over that area. And the people are not killed just by landslide, but because the bulldozer moved over them. So this was a mistake. People, heritage areas, all these heritage lines, the toy train line also got affected by a major landslide. And these are kind of situations. I'm just giving you the instance of 18th August 1998 at 3 a.m. when this landslide took place. Just see the site. It, you cannot imagine from where the material has come. All the material from the top area, actually rockfall happened and fell on the river sides and blocked even the river. So in such places where there are high altitude, high relief areas and rockfall areas, they can come together and then bury the structures, the buildings and the people. Almost at the same time, in August 1998, another landslide took place and it caused a casualty of 107 people. Now imagine the two together, the 218 and 107 in 1998 is almost 325. Two landslides. How many? And this was the site. And often we feel that the landslide will stop at river level. And this landslide, in fact, went over to the other side up to about 2 kilometers on the other side of the river. And whole of the hamlet which was present on this side, actually of this side, then that all washed away with that. So these and the lake formed in the Mandakini river where this was passed. Almost about it after 3 years after that, another landslide took place and 27 people got killed. And this is on road to Gorikund, where the way goes towards Kedarnath. I just show you the pictures. There's a building which is very close to a nala, located close to a nala, and whole of the material from the land, side slopes filled and came with the debris and filled the building. And people inside the building. So many such instances, not only in northern part of the country, in the Himalayan region, but also in the southern part. I remember way back in 9th November 2001, when people were actually celebrating a marriage party in Hillock, and heavy rains took place. And in heavy rain, the landslides occurred, and this was the place. About these 38 people, they got killed in that landslide. A lot of houses also were damaged at this particular site. Not only this particular site, many of the in the southern part of the country, for example, see a picture of the Uti. Uti area in Tamil Nadu is very famous hill town like Mussoorie and Shimla in the northern part. And they had lot of hotels. And these hotel buildings are and constructions and developments are leading to numerous landslides. And these landslides are causing not only damages to the buildings, to the railway tracks, to the roads, but also posing threats to the tourists who are visiting these areas. So we have to be very careful. Karwar 2009, I remember there was a very heavy floods due to high precipitations. Heavy precipitations also led to landslide and killing many people at this particular site. Around 19 people got killed and they were buried in the position as they were there just before the landslide. They didn't get even a chance to change their postures. So that is, you can see these people, they got buried underneath the landslide and they buried alive. Varnavath landslide, I remember, September 2003, when this happened, lot of investigations were done and people were alerted. And we were lucky because we got a chance to know that landslide is likely to happen and we evacuated the people and we could see the light. However, around 400 houses were affected by this. I'm just showing you a picture just before the landslide happened, and now see the next day when the landslide almost 2-3 tracks, different buildings, PWD colony, Masjid Mola, and other private houses, national highway, even up to the district magistrate office were affected by the landslide. So several of these hotel buildings where pilgrims were staying, tourists were staying, trekkers were staying, and they got affected. And showing you just a day before 25th September picture of the Varnavath landslide, and then again on 26th September. Just in a day, you can see how much change does happen You cannot even imagine those 3, 4 or 5-story buildings and hotels at this place and no road visible. All the further access was blocked. Large November 2009. It was again the month of August, 8th August, that the Large Club of Munshari Tehsil of Pithoragarh took place, a landslide, and around 43 people got buried underneath. It was a very bad, cloudy night. Heavy precipitation took place, and that you can see now the whole village where hamlets and agricultural fields were present is completely laden by debris. This was a place where people were staying, and they were even having shops close to the road level. And all these people were buried underneath such a debris, completely saturated with water. It was very difficult to even locate them, to take them out and see some of the pictures. Even the boulders and stones which were coming down were so sharp and conical that they acted like a sword and cut away the body parts. This body, you can see, head is missing, foot is missing, and this is the time taken to reach the site, because these areas become very difficult to access after landslides happen following heavy rains. Now let me take you to the northeast again. Aizawl, I remember, there was a PW building. It's not only the private people they get affected or the private buildings, even the government buildings located in an inappropriate place, which is geologically unstable or have slope instability problems, can also affect the people's lives. And this PWD building, when fell on 11th May 2013, actually killed 17 people in the buildings down below. You can see a sharp slope of the beds towards the slope is actually a problematic slope, very well identifiable by geological features. The whole of this actually fell down. You can see the condition at the local levels. The people were searching and the buildings were buried, you can see, which were present below that. And this was the situation of a close-up view of the site. Now, in such an area, it is very difficult to take any vehicles to do operation. And go back to Maharashtra, Malin landslide, Pune, Ambegaon Tehsil was very famous because when it happened, people were not expecting. They had a mechanized agricultural system. That area had a reservoir system for irrigation purposes, and that got affected with heavy precipitations because adequate drainage systems were not present. And almost around 140 people and all the village got washed away with this landslide at this particular site. It was difficult to save anyone because the reports were taken at a later stage. Now I'm coming back to Uttarakhand, where a landslide took place in June 2016. I remember when at a night the landslide happened, and people listened to the cries of people who were buried under the landslide. The local people, they became the responders. They saved those people. They came back, and after they came back, another episode of landslide took place, and that was rescued. And this incident actually was a lesson that when we are trying to be feeling safe, maybe another instance can happen. So like the bus incident, this was another instance of which, where we could find that it is to be very attentive in such cases where landslides and second episodes are likely to happen in the affected area. This was the place where the buildings were damaged and people were buried. Now, we had to reach there and carry out the rescue operations. Another important landslides which took place in 2017 in Himachal Pradesh, Kotrupi landslides. Now, midnight, almost at 12:30 a.m., a landslide happens after the heavy rainfall, and it takes away a bus which is full of passengers down to the valley level, and this bus actually has lot many people, almost 46 persons killed by that landslide, and 5 were injured, and even one biker who was also there also fell and came beside the losses to the houses. So my concerns are that whether we are in Uttarakhand, Himachal, J&K, Sikkim, Nagaland, or any southern states, the landslides are a prominent disastrous phenomena happening throughout the country, needs to be properly taken care. I remember another incident of now this incident which I'm relating. Yeah,
Sir, sorry
just
to
5 more
disturb you
minutes.
due to. Okay, okay, sir.
Huh? Any disturbance?
No, no, sir. You can carry on, sir.
Clear?
Yes,
Okay.
the voice is clear. Actually, sir.
Tell me.
Yes, actually, due to that, sir, I just request you to
Just,
finish within
just
5
5 more
minutes.
minutes to give emphasis on the this Kapat landslide in Sundar area, where Saraswati Shishu Mandir school was there, and I'm just giving some of this information. That why I wanted that this particular day should be kept as a landslide memorial day, because this if we care for our generation, at least for our educational buildings, they should be actually saved from landslides and kept at a place where they are not put to risk. So this Kapot landslide actually happened in a school which is closely located to a hillside and very close to a river, Saryu. And just I have mentioned you that the exact location, and it was a chance. The casualties were less because only 35 out of 1 students were present, and at this was a daytime. You imagine this was a daytime, not night, and the persons were not sleeping. They were well conscious, but then the debris came from the back wall of the school, filled the schoolroom, and they completely overlaid the students who were studying inside. The unfortunate scene was that the Saryu River was swollen and moving very swiftly, and teachers, out of curiosity, actually locked the students' room and then went towards the river side to view the swollen and swiftly moving river. And meanwhile, the landslide happened, brought back wall, filled the room, which was back wall was made of a single brick. Uh, then, but all those students who were present within the room, and then they could not escape because the door was also closed. So this is how the 18 primary school students under the age of between the age of 4 and 10 years got buried alive. Besides them, there were students playing in the veranda. The debris even reached to the veranda. One teacher and 7 students got. And this is the scenario. You are seeing the back wall, which got actually broken, from where the debris entered into the building. And the frontal part of that building, where rescue operations was being carried out. And then the police and people, they reached there to remove the debris using the X and other small equipments which were available with them. And this was the kind of stones. Now you can see even the slate-like material, just very sharp edge, could have also killed. It was very difficult to actually locate those innocent children underneath the debris. And the road access was also blocked. The link was passed away by the flood water which was swollen in the Saryu River. And this was the water flow in the Saryu River at that time. And people had to cross a bridge, the girder bridge, steel girder bridge, through which the access was possible. Our team was in the field. It was returning from Munsiari. And I was the state nodal officer under the central sector scheme. So I instructed them to go to the site immediately. And these are people who went to that place. and they had no to walk to take their vehicles, so to go on foot. And these are the conditions, rock falls, and the district also for restoration. Uh, to and stage of the children and end of the injury there. One of the family had three not lost because of this event. And these are the family, and this is the reporting by the media. Whole night, this operation had to continue. So these were the situations in the river, which I want to discuss with you. And I believe it is located at your house to have the rescue operations. So because of shortage of time, I'll not cover this, but my point to emphasize is let's not think land as small, localized, and less phenomena, which is spread, frequent, sudden, and cumulative effects are much more than any other hazards, high magnitudes. So with these words, I will close my presentation because of shortage of time. There are many other
Thank you
things.
very much, sir.
to discuss, but now Dr.
I'm ready. I'm ready. No, I can now. I can start.
Okay, take over.
Okay, sir.
I stop it.
Yes, now I request Dr. Porwal to continue his presentation. Sir, the floor is yours.
Sorry for this technical. Now, basically, my thing is once we are able to anticipate, we can do pre-deployment of the equipment, so we can use the road opening time, which is a very practical tip which I use. My experience, these are the landslides after the earthquake. So this pre-deployment of machinery has helped us a lot to operate. I had carried out one probabilistic theory just to forecast the landslides in a old road. So I collected 20 years data, we analyzed and made some probabilistic theory, and see particular each road we could prepare the graphs where you can see the maximum landslides of various sizes, large slides, medium slides, and this gives the probability of occurrence. So we can pre-deploy our machinery to accordingly. So this can be a step where the road user and the road maintenance people can make it use of this all these details and data available with the GSI also. And this is that we can see maximum June and July. So it all depend on the road which month will be crucial. So accordingly we can deploy our machineries. Similarly, we can forecast some of the earthquake forecast also. I won't take much time. It is well known, so I won't take much of time. Most of our problems are because of the land use pattern and man-made issues. So I'll come on the various important aspects which are given later in the slide. So we can minimize by passive intervention, active preventions, and these are the general tips which helps most of the people, those who are staying in the hill. So I won't take much of time on these. These are the telltale signs which generally people can observe, and that will warn you this landslide is likely to come, and people can evacuate that area to avoid any casualties. Because these are very visible signs, and one can make use of these signs. These are leaning of potholes. So various activities can be seen by the local people. So now let's come on very preventive measures how to reduce. So we can go for innovative site facilities. Because all the difficult landslides have got its own signatures. We cannot use the same technology other, so it has to be site specific studies. GSI is also carrying out the studies accordingly. We have to do slope reduction, detention structures, flooding walls like drainage, other slope safety effects, recognizing hazards, landslides, warning. Slope safety audit is very important because we can reduce our damages with this. So this should be made mandatory in most of our new DPRs. We have to give special consideration to hill loading design, alignments of hill loads, general considerations we have to take care, geological conditions, resettlement and rehabilitation, environment, so we have to take care. So now I'll come on the basic approach. So we have to formulate a approach Develop, introduce good practices for early warning, which GSI is now actively giving a lot of data are available. So people should be encouraged to use this data. Now it is a multidisciplinary thing where we need a geologist, hydrologist, road engineers, administrator, local authority. So we have to form a joint groups. We have to coordinate and analyze the critical factor, and we should minimize the damage with this approach only. Introduce and develop existing well new concept pertaining to these various forecast things are available with the meteorology department. Now let us share the experience success story. So Himachal PWD, Sikkim PWD, border road. So we can all share the success story, and we can use this by little bit modification depending on the site. How data gathering is done, institutional setup for early warning, which is already on the progress, monitoring and predicting, communication alerts at this community's response. So already we are working on that. So we can minimize the thing. Now, so this is, I'm just taking it 2 minutes in the case study. This is, we have taken help of GSI to prepare the map at Sonapur, and for last 20 years, it was a major bottleneck in the our national highway. So you can see the photograph, the extent of slide and many casualties and difficulty people used to. Once I have taken over as chief engineer, I had to walk 15 kilometers to reach to slides. There was such a huge use of the vehicles and the suffering I could see. So we decided to go for a permanent solution. We can see the extent of slides. So we have first analyzed the causes of the landslides with the help of GSI and other institutions. And for last 20 years, VRO, the only method of tackle the problem was to deploy plant equipment to pull the excavator during monsoon and keep the road communication through. Once such occasion was blocked for almost 60 days. So we decided, why can't we go for some innovative solutions? So the concept of pattern cover structure has never been utilized earlier in Himalaya. So we tried this. This is a broad concept where we put a pattern cover structure that is stored in there. So whatever landslides come can roll over it. So the basic 120 meter length, 8 meter width, height we get 9 meter. And these are the, within 8 months, 9 months, we could complete the construction from start to complete. You can see this time-wise progress of this thing. So I won't take much of time on this. And once it is completed, we put the various drainage measures and the earth pollution gate put. And after that, now after 3-4 years, we can see the complete slope got stabilized. And after that, 2008, there was not a single slide. No. The takeaway point is we could save direct and indirect losses almost 25 times in last 12 years. You can see 1 year we had spent almost 11 crore rupees only on these structures and this remedial measure. And now almost we have saved 250 to 30 crore direct and indirect losses due to this. So we can take this point wherever the perpetual trouble spot is there on the high volume roads. We can go for a permanent solution by annuity base, so we can reduce their suffering and their losses. A practical tip: highway engineer must understand the importance of stability. Practical tips to mitigate it. All human settlement infrastructures, danger zone, flood, slide, avalanches to be avoided if already exist, and relocate. Like Dr. Silvergas was just showing the school. So if we know this is a runout zone, so either we should try to relocate. If it is not possible to relocate, create some structure, temporary structure at least, which will reduce the momentum of the slide, so damage can be minimized. Our perpetual spots to be identified at national level, and we should go for site-specific solution with the multidisciplinary approach. Whatever structure where the stable foundation is available, and the complete slope has to be stable. Inexpensive now data are available, so I did not tell on this. So the present practice of hill road in Himalaya needs to be reviewed, and a systematic approach based on green road concept, environment friendly, socially acceptable phase construction approaches need to be adopted. A lot of efforts, money, skill power, manpower needed, proper selection of hill alignment, which we are not paying attention right now. Detail engineering, close supervision and quality assurance during the construction required. Fund for 11 are required. Now we have a lot of knowledge. We have very good institutions, IIT, GSI, good engineers, but unfortunately we are not able to work as a team. So let's come together, bridge the gap, whatever gaps are there, in order to create a safe hill environment where roads and the road user can be safe. Even all the habitats which are staying in the hill, we can make them safe. So we have insufficient data analysis, which we are now increasing it. Then simplification and simplification generals also institutional mechanism, linkage at risk community, SOPs, standing operating procedures helps a lot. Disseminations, reaching vulnerable areas risk group, emergency response and mitigation program comes once we are able to identify the issue. So, bridge the gap among scientists, educationists, field engineers, other agencies, local population, road users. Right now, our approach is reactive. Once we get some damage and then we try to react. So, let's become proactive from reactive. Then we can reduce the damages. Now, what national approach is needed? We need to formulate. This Dr. Bhandari is always advocating we should go for this type of approach, integrate landslide reduction with the development planning. So, we have to integrate, address the challenges of development, urbanization, construction, and extreme weather events alongside the consideration of the global geotechnology. So, create an autonomous multi-entity organization expertise in landslide. So, I think this organization has already been created. It is under establishment. So, once it is fully established, it will help us a lot. Ideal to interest responsibility to passing important DPRs through its fine sieve and authorize implement the different stages of the construction. So, the DPRs in the load has to be very specific, getting all the issues and concern in this area. So, this establishes a firm connection between landslide investigation, landslide management through a policy directive. So, we need a national policy on this issue. Unless we formulate it, we work together, we will not able to solve. We are working on different compartments. All major landslides project through geotechnical investigation should be mandatory pre-budget planning. Handicap shortage of the trained professional in the field of engineering and geology and geotechnology should be all come. So, we have to bring them one in umbrella. Every landslide state must identify, adopt at least one knowledge distribution with expertise in geology to geotechnical teamwork required. Quality assurance on landslide investigation being critical design landslide periods. Accord highest priority to R&D topics to be decided. So, we can give some of our institution, PhD, thesis, MTech thesis on various site-specific issues to overcome. We can give an area where they can identify which all buildings are in danger zone, can be saved. And what if they cannot be relocated, how we can make them so we can give the structures. So, we have to work by earthquake induced landslides. We have to see lot of extreme weather light. I've shown this thing and cloudburst approach landslide is damage assessment, development of innovative technology for effective utilization of landslides, debris and other wastage, unfolding fundamental mechanism of the most of the problematic Indian landslides. So, need of our is we have to inject the science and technology for this. So, we have a lot of great experience. We have good scientists, good field engineers, but we have to work together as a team. So, India has a good experience in construction, difficult terrain like roads, marginal PWD, and other PWD body. All need is injection of more science and technology backed with the good engineering, make construction economical, speedier, durable, safer, more eco-friendly. Let's come together and work together form a multidisciplinary teams in order to achieve landslide reduction and resilience to minimize the suffering. Accord highest priority to R&D, so which I have already covered it. So, policy makers if response a number of defined criteria. So, policymakers have to take a call how we should go and how we should minimize the risk to the people. Establish a clear boundary what resilience meaning possible defined by target populations. We have to do taluka wise, district wise, and whatever village wise, analyze different underlying risk factor, how resilience building measures reduce risk, consider the resilience is there, construct specific and ensure any measures. So, we have to see what all the threats, how to go about it. Consider resilience is a threat specific and population might be resilient. One of the so community participation is also very much required. Consider both outcomes. So, 45 landslide management. So, what we have to do basically, we don't have an integrated proper landslide management approach. So, we just deal it in bits and pieces. So, very important, innovative, techno-legal, techno-financial. So, technical things. Legal thing is local bylaws where we can restrict the people not to construct house. They are in danger, then let them relocate. So, we have a legal framework. Techno-financial. We propose this much money is required, but unfortunately, the money is not coming. So, we have to take a care whatever. So, innovative, techno-legal, techno-financial practice is a need of our. Once we go for it, we will minimize the risk to the people. So, all ongoing new development projects involving landslide management, the project construction and all corrective action for countering the construction related. Advocate budget for the purpose, including the maintenance cost must be sanctioned as a package. Now we sanction the road, we don't sanction maintenance, then there are problems. All major landslide projects should be passed through mandatory peer review, particular reference to the technical merits, financial viability, speed effectiveness, eco-friendliness, and accountability. So, this I have already covered. Thank you. I think taking for slightly more time.
There is a clear need to bridge the gap among various stakeholders and discuss a specific aspect of multilateral dialogue and cooperation, such as establishment of clear channels of communication, sharing scientific knowledge, creation of a database of disaster response capabilities, and pre-positioning of material to shorten response time. Now we will take some questions raised by our participants. Due to time constraint, we will restrict ourselves to only 3 to 4 questions. The first question is for Dr. Sehwal Ghosh. The question is from Professor Ganapati ji. Many landslides happen in Udupi district. When Ganapati ji referred to NLSM from Bhukosh, it shows Udupi district is not covered for an NLSM study. The recent Rajmala landslide also fall in this area. So his question is why Udupi district is not covered under an NLSM project.
So my answer is that it is not that it is not covered. It is covered. The data has been captured in 1920. Now we have fast track. We have already requested our state unit Kerala, and we have a discussion with the State Disaster Management Authority also. Nearly 5,000 square kilometer areas of that portion, the map will be readied in a fast track manner, and we will be issuing this map to the state government very soon. So this data collection is over, only the map preparation part is there. So your Idukki is covered. Idukki, we cannot miss Idukki. It's a highly landslide prone.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. Hope this answer will satisfy our participant. Now the second question is for Dr. S.S. Porwal ji. Sir, what are the new initiatives taken by Board Research Organization to tackle landslides in our country?
Basically, basically I have covered in last slides. Now there are number of initiatives at NDMA level, NIDM level, and Dr. Bhandari is taking lead in that. So once we are able to address this last 8-10, bridging the gap, formulation of a landslide management, I think we can minimize the issues. So I think we have to fast track all this process of landslide management.
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much, sir. Now the third question is for Professor Surya Prakash, Head GMR Division. Sir, the question is how to build safe building with respect to landslide issues.
Madam Harjit.
Very good question.
Yes, sir.
Madam Harjit.
Yes, sir.
Just I wanted to update what Dr. Porwal has said. Actually,
Okay,
a good initiative has been done by NDMA, and NDMA in 2019 has already published the National Landslide Risk Management Strategies. They have touched upon all the aspects, starting from the zonation, then techno-legal part, then mitigation part, early warning part. This document is now released by NDMA. It's an excellent document. So I request all stakeholders to consult this document. So I think Dr. Bhandari, Dr. Porwal, myself, and lot of people, it's a very big group of people have been working for years to develop that document. And that is the last concerted effort and concerted document by NDMA, and I request all to follow that.
Thank you very much, sir, for your suggestion. I think our participants take it as a good suggestion and go for their research work. Now I request Professor Surya Prakash to answer question asked by our participant that how to build safe building with respect to landslide issues. Sir.
Thank you, Dr. Harjit. Actually, this is very, very good question because we live in our buildings. Most of the time, maximum time we are spending, at least 8 hours we are sleeping, we are in our buildings and houses. Where the maximum time in terms of time threats will be from the landslide. That's the time when maximum occurrences of landslides are expected. So we have to have built safe houses at safer locations with safer materials. For this, NIDM took an initiative And on 28th November 2019, we had the first international conference on landslide risk reduction and resilience, where Honorable Minister actually has released our book on construction of safer buildings in landslide prone areas. So this book I would recommend to be read by people to know in what kind of materials, what kind of foundations and preventive measures need to be taken care to prevent landslides and also to reduce the frequency of landslides in those areas. So we have to control the incidences as well as the impacts of landslides through selecting, that means selecting the correct location, development, construction, maintenance, and management. That's all I would say. Drainage management is very, very important. And slope management is equally important. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Now with this, we have come to end of our technical session. Now I would like to call upon our ED and IDM Major General Manoj Kumar Bindal, VSM, for his concluding remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Harjeet. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Hearing the whole thing, and it was really enlightening, the details with which the whole lecture was conducted, and Dr. Sabu Ghosh, Mr. Shyam Purwal, when he gave the examples of Sikkim and with the actual photographs and what goes wrong in the construction, it was really good. And I think these things should be made, should be disseminated more to the public. Because the website, like what Mr. Raju spoke about earlier, which is what I think 11 sections he spoke about, which has got all data, those are being used by people, those who know about that website. Others, most of the people are unaware. And hence, holding such programs helps to disseminate the do's and don'ts, the possible ways, and what needs to be done, and where are the resources, and how the resources to be used. That is disseminated to the environment. A few people benefit out of it, because not everyone is in a landslide prone area, not everyone gets a chance to contribute to landslide risk reduction. But still, a few is better than nothing, no one. So I feel such seminars should be continued more in future and repeated more in future with new participant list, wider participant base, so that such important and practical examples and presentations given by the speakers should be promulgated to the public, because not many things what they spoke about is put on paper or it's put in policies. It is difficult to do that. But when you are taking such a lecture, you are able to explain the thing in its right context. And it was really, really entertaining and enlightening. So I thank both the speakers profusely for such a nice presentations, and also the participants for the good chat and good questions that they asked in this webinar. So thank you very much, and I thank the Journalism Assembly of India for collaboration with the NIDM on this webinar series. And I thank Professor Surya Prakash and his team, Dr. Arjit, for in particular, for holding this webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Thank you very much for your concluding remarks, sir. Now, I would request Sri Anil Khattat, IP NIDM, working in the Center for Hill Area Development, to offer vote of thanks to the delegates and distinguished speakers and participants. Over to you, sir.
Thanks, Dr. Harjeet. I am audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible plus visible.
Good afternoon, all of you. The theme of today's webinar, timely. Monsoon season has become synonym to landslides, which has always been of major concern, especially in the hilly region across the globe. It engulfs precious lives besides devastating impact on environment, infrastructure, and structure. Moreover, the psychological blow by landslide is enormous, and healing can take a long period. To regain status quo of landslide affected area have not always been straightforward tasks. We, the humans, have always exploited the nature to fulfill our insatiable hunger for growth, development, without considering the health status of our slopes. We need to synchronize our activities with the attributes of slopes we are living in. Otherwise, when nature will come into play, it will make our all strategies look like kindergarten stuff. I hope every participant will have some takeaway from today's webinar that they will be discussing among their respective departments, groups, and will further invest in strengthening the resilience of our hilly areas. I, on behalf of NIDM, thanks Dr. S. Raju, ADG, Geological Survey of India, the nodal agency for landslide research and management in the country for their collaboration to organize this webinar. I would also like to thank Major General Manoj Kumar Bindal, VSM, Executive Director NIDM for his continuous and guidance in our every endeavor. Opportunity to thank our distinguished experts, Dr. Saibal Ghosh, Director, GHRM Center, GSI, Dr. S.S. Porwal, ADG, BRO, and Professor Surya Prakash, Head, GMR Division, NIDM, for enlightening us with their respective organizations' interventions and initiatives on various phases of landslide risk reduction and resilience. I express a deep sense of gratitude to all our participants without whom this webinar wouldn't be possible. In the end, I will like to thank my colleague Dr. Harjeet Kaur for moderating and Mr. Raju Thapa for facilitating the webinar as host. With these words, I conclude my vote of thanks. Thank you.